We are back for another episode of Delvin with Devin on the Mana Base. We're going to be doing Frontier again, just because Frontier is awesome. So today we're running Jund. We're running Marvel Jund actually. So just quickly going over the list here, we've got some Fatty Boom Booms to be cheating into play. We've got 4 Emrakul's, the Promised End, banned in Standard, still legal in Frontier. This card is just busted in half. If we can ever get to the point where we're casting this card, we're probably winning that game. We got 1 World Breaker, which is pretty strong card. It's actually a castable card if we ever don't get to get the Marvel into play. We can actually recur it with our Aether Hubs in the late game to give us some late game inevitability, just in case if Emrakul's not enough or if they somehow extract all the Emrakul's from our deck. We got some inevitability there. We've got 2 Ugins. If you've ever had an Ugin cast against you, you know how devastating it is. Just rats the board. Very strong card, especially if you're cheating it into play off of the Marvel. We've got 1 Ishkana, Graph Widow. So getting Delirium is pretty easy in this deck. So we just got a 1 of. It just kind of helps stabilize. Again, it's kind of castable, even without the Marvel in play, and it's still a reasonable hit off of Marvel as well. We've got 1 Kalitas, or Kalitas, however you would like to pronounce it. This card is just kind of good at stabilizing. It gives the deck another 4-drop because we've got these mana accelerants that we're going to be talking about pretty soon. It's just kind of like a 5th 4-drop to make. Strong card. It forces the opponent to leave in their removal, which otherwise their removal is not very good against a lot of our other cards. So it kind of forces them to either leave in their removal, which makes them slower and weaker to the rest of our deck, or leave it in and then they're slower and weaker to the rest of our deck. So it's kind of a good hedge. We've got 4 Aetherwork Marvels. So this card, I think it's only going to get stronger as the format evolves. As more big creatures get printed, the next Emrakul or the next World Breaker, the next Ugin, they're not going to stop printing powerful cards. So this is the type of card that could potentially see a ban at some point. I don't think we're at that point quite yet, but it's kind of like the reasoning for like Birthing Pod to be banned in Modern or Stoneforge to be banned is it kind of limits the space where they can print more powerful cards, because cards like this can just get more powerful as those cards come out. So this card could eventually see a ban. I don't think it's anywhere near that time yet, but a couple years down the road, as more and more powerful cards get printed, this card just gets more stronger. Or more strong, I should say. We got 4 Puzzle Knots, just gives energy so that when we drop the Marvel, we can actually just activate it right away. It also gives life gain. Frontier is a pretty aggressive format, so the life gain's not too bad. We've got the Servants, I've already talked about. Gives energy. It allows us to ramp into a turn 3 Marvel, which is pretty good. It can also, block in a pinch, those sorts of things. I'm running 4 Vessels. A lot of the other Marvel decks either aren't running this card or running some number of it, but not 4. I like 4 just because it gives us some filtering, helps us with consistency, hitting lands early, finding the Marvel. It goes 4 deep, so it actually goes 5 deep by your next draw step. So, because if you whiff on the Marvel, at least you're 4 cards closer to a Marvel. It could also, late game find an Emrakul to cast or one of these fatties just to cast, and it also is an enchantment for Delirium. So it not only does it put other cards into the graveyard for Delirium, but it puts an enchantment itself into the graveyard. So Emrakul is actually a lot easier to cast running the Vessel. We got 4 tunes, so this allows us to find our colors. It also gives us energy for the Marvel. You guys, if you've probably seen it in Standard and Limited, you know that it's a pretty strong card. We got a removal package, so we got 3 sweepers, and these sweepers, instant speed, deals with a lot of these hyper aggressive token decks, and then even there's some synergy here with the Vessel. If you crack a Vessel early, puts one of these into the graveyard, then when you cast one of your Emrakuls or World Breaker, you flash it back. It's pretty much GG. We've got 2 Fatal Push, just a strong card. 1 mana removal spell. You guys all know what it does. Just phenomenal. Kills Copters. That's the main reason it's here. We got 4 Harness Lightning. Again, this is basically a Terminate in this deck. That can also give us energy for Marvel. Like, let's say they have some creature in play we don't really care about. We have a Marvel out. Just target it. Don't use any energy, just get 3 energy, activate Marvel, put an Emrakul into play, those sorts of things. It's a great card in this deck. 1 Collective Brutality in the main deck. We got more in the sideboard, but this is just good at against control. It's kind of like a hedge against control. You can like duress them, take their counterspell. Against aggro decks, it's not too bad. There's actually a game I was testing the deck where I was able to like kill their creature, discard a card to just gain 2 life against an aggressive deck. I discarded an Ugin, which gave me the Delirium I needed to cast an Emrakul on the next turn. So there's a little bit of synergy there. Coming over here to the mana base, we've got 13 turn 1 green sources. I think the number of turn 1 green sources is important in this deck because we've got the 4 tunes and the 4 vessels we want to cast on turn 1. So I think 13 is the minimum you want to run. And obviously you could try to fit more in, but then it's going to be affecting your mana base for other reasons. So we got 13 turn 1 green with 4 Aether Hubs, 3 forests, 2 blooming marshes. Don't want to run too many blooming marshes just because having it come into play tapped on turn 4, 5, and 6 when we're trying to cast Marvels and World Breakers and Ishkanaz can be a bit of a cost. But having 2 shouldn't come up too much. It allows us to still have a lot of black sources and have early green sources. We got 1 Cinderglade, 3 Smoldering Marshes, and then the basic Swamp and the Mountain to round out the Attune with Aether targets, along with the Bloodstained Mire. So we got 7 fetches to go with our Fatal Pushes. It's just the Fatal Push fetch combo is pretty sweet. Being able to kill a Cletus or whatever with just cracking a fetch is phenomenal. Moving over here to the sideboard, we've got 3 Tormod's Crypts just for the rally decks. We've got 4 Duress against any sort of control decks. I don't think there's a lot of control decks existing right now, but this deck, whenever you play combo, you really have to be cautious of not over sideboarding. Like if I just board out too many fatties, then my deck just doesn't function, and you can't board out the Marvels, so you can't cut too many cards. So just having these like silver bullets against control, just bring in 4 Duress, take out probably 4 removal spells or the 4 sweep or the sweepers, whatever, just to force through our Marvels. Seems good. Got a Liliana Vess. So this is again against control. You can either just uptick it to have them discard cards, just another threat. You can also minus search a card, put a card on top. So if we do have an active Marvel out, we can just search for an Emrakul, put it on top, then we for sure hit with the Marvel. Or we can just search for Marvel, draw the Marvel, and go from there. So just a pretty strong versatile threat. And then we got some more removal here. We got 1 Slaughter to the Slaughter. Good at killing Planeswalkers. 2 more Fatal Push against these hyper aggressive decks with Copters, so we can go up to 4 pushes, 4 lightnings, just to really deal with Copter. 2 more Collective Brutalities, primarily against control, just being able to discard, like have another duress effect. We've got a Rex Sage. This again is good against the hyper aggressive decks. Being able to come down, blow up a Copter, and then just trade with another creature just kind of slows the game down. Just pretty much exactly what we want to be doing in those types of matchups. And then we got the one Hornet's Nest. Again, great against these aggressive decks. Good at blocking, block some damage, get some Hornets. It's also really good with Kozilek's Return. If you ever get to the point where you just cast it and then you flashback Kozilek's Return for 5, not only do you Wrath board, but you also get 5/1/1 Death Touchers with flying. So overall, this deck seems pretty sweet. We aren't running any Treasure Cruise Dig Through Times, which is a little bit concerning to me. Of course, splashing the blue is a heavy cost. But we are running Emrakuls, which are banned in Standard, so we do have some banned cards in our deck that, of course, aren't banned in Frontier, but banned in the other formats. So there you guys have the list. I always love to run Jund. Don't usually run, Jund combo, but let's see what we can do here in the Frontier format. We'll see you guys in the first round.